What's good, everybody? Today we're going to talk about the Komplete Kontrol M32, the new micro keyboard controller from Native Instruments. Is it worth it? Should I buy it? I'm going to answer some of your questions and try to figure out if this is a good purchasing decision for you. Now, there's a lot of first impression and review videos out there right now currently circulating, and everyone's pretty much saying the same thing, but what I wanted to know is the questions that you guys were asking. So I went through the comment section of a lot of those popular first impression and review videos to see if I could answer some of the questions that were going unanswered. Or not necessarily going unanswered, but just the information that was not there in the video, and I figured I could touch on that instead. Now, if you haven't seen any of those videos, and this is your first video that you clicked on about the M32, let me say thank you. Appreciate your viewership. But the Komplete Kontrol M32 is a 32 key microcontroller that is a scaled down version of the other versions of their keyboards that they have. This keyboard specifically was made for travel. Now, they had the Komplete Kontrol A25, which was much bulkier and a little bit harder to take on the road with you because of its size. This, still doesn't fit all the way into your book bag, but it's better than it was before. If you have a longer book bag, this will fit in there just fine. It's nice and slim and is about the same height as the Machine Micro Mark III. Now, as far as compact portability goes, this M32 coupled with the Machine Micro Mark III, man, this is everything that you need right here in this compact little package. Just really quick, you have DAW controls right here in this little section. Then up here you have functions that work within Komplete Kontrol, like scale on arpeggiators. You can quantize your beat, hit ideas mode. Right here in the middle you have an OLED display. You have a couple of presets buttons and left and right buttons to scroll through different menus on the OLED display. Right here in the middle, you have 8 capacitive touch knobs. As you touch your finger over top of the knobs, it kind of identifies within Komplete Kontrol exactly what parameter you're getting ready to change, and it displays on the OLED display. So that's a nice feature that the keyboard has within Komplete Kontrol. And then over here, you have this 4-way push encoder that you can navigate the menus left and right, and you can select by pushing down on it. It's nice and clicky, left, right, up, down. So that's nice so you don't have to use the mouse when browsing. You can just use the keyboard itself to navigate all of the menus. Then you have up here browser, plugin, and track functions, and that works within your DAW. Browser works within Komplete Kontrol to browse through the menus. So that's a quick rundown. Oh, and then you have these 2 touch strips right here that work like the mod and pitch wheels, except for the touch strips instead. They actually had the touch strips in the very first version of the Komplete Kontrol, and then people were upset and they wanted their mod wheels back, so they brought the mod wheels back, and the touch strips are now being placed on this smaller controller to save space, and it makes sense. This is a good place for them within this product. So now I'm going to try to answer some of the common questions that I've seen on all the other videos that are out there about the M32. One of the biggest ones was, are there LED lights on the keyboard? No, there are only LED lights on the Komplete Kontrol S series. Why are there no lights? Well, you have to understand, this is priced aggressively to compete with all the other MIDI controllers out there. Most of the other MIDI controllers that are around 25 keys are in the $100 range, and Native Instruments wants to compete in that realm. If you started adding features onto the keyboard, you're going to increase the price. And there are other keyboards within their lineup that can do more, and they wanted something on the entry level. So that's why there are no LED lights on the keyboard. Now, I have written here plug-in support for mapping the knobs versus other MIDI controllers. So an advantage that Native Instruments hardware has is that it has the NKS standard. So if you pull up an instrument or a VST or a plugin that is supported by Native Instruments via the NKS standard, all of the knobs and all of the buttons that are mapped in the program or in the software are going to be mapped on the hardware as well. So it's automatically done for Native Instruments hardware. Now, for other pieces of hardware, other MIDI controllers, you're not going to be able to have that function right away. You have to map those MIDI functions yourself, which can be really inconvenient as you travel across different plugins and different VSTs. You have to do all of that mapping yourself. So that's an advantage that Native Instruments hardware has when you're dealing with plugins and software that's specifically made with the NKS standard. And here's a list of all of the vendors that use the NKS standard, just so you know what they are. Now, while we're on this topic, there's another question. Does the sound preview function work for other VSTs? If that company has the NKS standard, then they should also have the sound preview function. And that sound preview function is something that's specific for NKS instruments. So if it has an NKS standard, more than likely it's going to have the sound preview function as well. Now, another complaint that I saw was DAW support. Were there other DAWs that were going to be supported in the future? Right now, the DAWs that are supported by Native Instruments hardware, and by supported, I mean that the hardware functions of the keyboard work within the DAW itself. So play, track, record, all of those different functions actually control certain things within the DAW itself. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that you can't use your Native Instruments hardware in other DAWs. It just means that you can't take advantage of the full function. So if I wanted to navigate through my Pro Tools menus, for instance, with the keyboard, I can't do that because there's not that support. So that's what people mean by, it's not supported. So right now, what's supported is Ableton Live, Logic, and GarageBand, with Cubase and Nuendo coming in the future. As far as those others, I don't know, can't tell you. But I use Pro Tools myself, and Pro Tools has never been supported, and none of the functions ever work. And there have always been problems with compatibility with Pro Tools, because Pro Tools is, I don't know. I don't know why those things can't work together. I think I have just grown accustomed to it, that, Pro Tools and Native Instruments are just not going to ever work together like the way that it works in Logic or Ableton. So you can take that however you want to take it, but DAW support are for those 5 only that I've seen. Hopefully it expands to more in the future. Never know. Another question, do the same sounds that come with the Komplete Kontrol M32 come with the machine? And the answer is yes. Because Complete Start, which is completely free, like actually you can go to the website right now and download that for free, and you don't even have to have any Native Instruments hardware. You can use your current hardware or any other controller and use Complete Start right along with it. So Native Instruments is making this big push to get their products into as many studios as possible. And with a keyboard priced at $129 and all of the software that you can get for free along with it, that's why Native Instruments is starting to become the go-to place for new music producers or producers looking to downsize or take their stuff on the road with them. Another question I saw was, is the features of the M32 the same features as the Komplete Kontrol A25, which was the keyboard that was released, I don't know, maybe 6-8 months ago, last year? But anyways, the A25 is a 25-key keyboard controller made by Native Instruments, has the exact same functions, except for it has 25 keys, it's bulkier, and it has pitch and mod wheels rather than the touch strips. But all of the buttons, all of the functions are exactly the same, and it seems like Native Instruments has gotten some negative feedback because that's supposed to be a portable controller. It's not portable. It's just too big to be considered portable. So if it were me, I just would stop production on it, because the M32 is a much better product than the A25, but I don't make those decisions. I'm just a consumer. Now, another big word that I saw across the internet, across all of these videos, was the word incomplete, and that made me kind of laugh. Just seeing it over and over again, saying things like, oh, they don't have the LED lights, or there's no screens, or why aren't there any pads on it as well? This seems like an incomplete product. And I don't think that people are taking into consideration the other products within the line of Komplete Kontrol. This is not designed to be a full-fledged key station. It's designed for portability and function, and it transfers all of those features that are in the other lines of keyboards into the software. So you have to dig into the software a little bit more, and you have less features on the keyboard, but it's more compact and it's at a cheaper price. If it were the very first keyboard that they ever made, yeah, I'd understand that. But back to this incomplete thing, I think there's just a disconnect between the functionality at the price points versus the features at a higher price point. It's like, you have to strip things away if you want to price your product aggressively. If you want to get people in the door as a company looking for consumers, what can you do? So they started giving away a lot of stuff for free. Not only does it come with Complete Start, it comes with Machine Essentials, 3 different synthesizers, and basically over 2,000 sounds that you can get by purchasing a $100 to $150 product. At the minimum, if I can get away with spending less than $150 and get over 2,000 sounds and a keyboard controller, like, that's a win. So now with me being objective, I tried to find things that the keyboard is actually missing. And I actually saw this in a comment. There is a function within Machine and Machine Micro where if there's a sample playing in the background, you can stop that sample from playing or multiple samples from playing if you hit Shift Mute. And then that cuts off whatever sample's playing. But there's nothing like that on the keyboard controller. That is a function that I think that they should add to the keyboard as well. So that's it. That's pretty much all the questions that I saw from other people that went unanswered in others' videos about the M32. So if you want to learn more about the M32 itself, Native Instruments has put out a good demo. Mad Zach did that video. So that's a pretty good one. There's a lot of great reviews out there, and everyone has different perspectives. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to pick up the Komplete Kontrol M32, there's a link down in the description below. Click that helps me out, as with every other YouTuber there is. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.